Yes.
always going to be background.
All right. Sweet. Okay, we're live. All right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is Pete Erickson. I'm the founder of MoDev, and I'm the creator of Voice Summit. And this is part of our speaker series where we're getting to know the speakers that will be joining us July 22nd through 25th in Newark, New Jersey at Voice Summit. If you haven't visited the site yet, it's voicesummit.ai. And it is the largest voice tech conference in the world. We'll have over 5,000 attending this year's event. And we are thrilled to be having more than 300 speakers from 25 countries coming to Newark to really talk about where we are in this new era, the voice first era. Apple yesterday at the Worldwide Developer Conference just made some new announcements related to these little guys and Siri. So things will be changing and evolving, and this year's event is going to be a reflection of that. Joining me this morning is Helen Todd. She is the CEO of Sociality Squared. Good morning, Helen. How you doing?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Hey, so let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us about you and what is Sociality Squared?
Yeah, sure. I'm really happy to be here this morning. My name is Helen Todd. I'm the CEO of Sociality Squared. We're a full-service social media agency based here in New York City. And we help brands bring their stories alive online. So it's all about content and stories, whether that's visual, and we're getting into voice because that's certainly one of the reasons why we're speaking here today. And I'll be speaking July 23rd at the Voice Summit and can't wait.
Yeah, no, we can't wait as well. You talk about brands and voice. What would you say are the questions you're getting the most asked from brands, over the past year related to, the new opportunity that voice represents?
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting space where brands sometimes look to us for the expertise of where they should go and vice versa. Video is so hot right now. We're doing a lot of video and, how that plays in. Spotify and their ads is a platform that we've dabbled with. Podcasts are so big now, they were starting to rise and then YouTube came and now they're coming back. And we're not a tech developing company, so we haven't really done, Alexa apps or anything. But I think the interesting thing is, we're so visual with social, and now we're moving with voice, and that's a different type of, tapping into the imagination versus through only voice and not just what you see.
Right. So you mentioned video, so multimodal. And Amazon has a new Echo Show coming out at the end of the month, and they've dropped the price. I mean, it's under $100. Unbelievable. I ordered two to replace the existing Echo Shows in our house. But let's talk about multimodal for a second. And because we talk about this voice first era, and to me, it sort of describes all of it, right? So when we say voice, we think what's coming out of a speaker, but also what we're chatting about, with a chatbot or what we're watching. So let's talk about multimodal a little bit and where you see, that headed.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the most interesting things is when I look at my 7-year-old niece and how she interacts with YouTube, the YouTube Kids, where she'll click or tap, I should say, the screen and be like, play, forget the name of it, like Dr. Squishy or something. And it's so natural where it's just like click and not even typing. And I think, I've started playing more with voice, and, I probably ask Siri how to spell words more than anything else. I'll just say the word. Can't even type it well enough for Google to figure it out. But yeah, no, I think kids, it's so native or so natural for them to see it. And I think, it starts off as a utility of, asking for the weather or a search word. But then once the utility comes, then we'll really get to start to play with more creative uses.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see what's going to be demonstrated at Voice Summit from a lot of the major brands, the major studios. And I think, you mentioned Spotify, started as an audio platform, but they are moving now towards video. They also were a music streaming service and now very big into podcasting.
Yep.
with their acquisition this year of Gimlet Studios. And so, I mean, it's an interesting space. Everything sort of seems to be converging. And so let's talk a little bit about your session. I'm going to do a little screen share here.
Yeah, sure.
Just take me one moment. By the way, we use StreamYard for our streaming. For anybody that is thinking about doing live stream interviews, I highly recommend StreamYard. I've been using it for a couple weeks now, and it is really a fantastic tool. One of the really beneficial things about it is today we're streaming into our Voice Summit Facebook page, but the person we're interviewing doesn't need to be on Facebook. So anyway, very flexible, nice tool. Also makes it very easy for us to do screen shares, and you can share just a tab from your screen, which is nice. So this rethink, re-envision, redesign, we're getting 3 different perspectives. Helen's going to be one of them. Domhnall Hernan from Nokia Bell Labs, and Dylan Di Giovanni. I don't have his, looks like we're waiting on his assets to be loaded into the platform. But let's talk a little bit about that. When we say rethink, re-envision, redesign, what's the first thing that you think we'll be talking about as part of that panel?
Yeah, well, the speakers, and the name is Doonal. He's Irish, and it's very hard. I think it took me a few months to get it right. Yeah, I mean, we've got amazing speakers that we're really going to talk about inclusion when we think about design, whether it's voice or video or whatever product. And Doonal is really interesting. He's the head of engineering and arts for Nokia Bell Labs, and they pair engineers with artists to fuse the 2 different types of thought. And one of their artists is Reaps One, who is one of the leading beatboxers in the world, and he fuses tech and his voice and does some really extremely interesting things. And one of my favorite quotes from him is, as your voice grow, we grow. And I think that's such an interesting quote for the space and whatnot. And then Dylan works a lot with identity. But, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, I've been, we were about to relaunch the Sociality Squared website. And we actually had a gal who was blind who worked for us a couple of years ago. And so I really got introduced to web readers through her and how people listen to the web. And even in working with this great agency, I'm like, okay, accessibility is really important to me. I need to make sure that the website is accessible and meets all of the requirements for these web readers, because that's how a lot of people interact with the web. And they're like, oh, we don't have anyone in staff. We don't know what to do, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, why is this just not a basic standard, embedded into our design? And, I think it comes to a lot of things of like, we interact with the web a very certain way, but how do we get outside of our worlds to make sure that we are designing, creating content for people, who aren't exactly like us? And that spans like a really big, if you think of someone who is different than I am, at the very basic definition of maybe diversity or, diversity of thought, there's a lot to cover. So we're going to be talking about, how can we get outside of our own mini little echo chambers to be thinking and designing for the broadest, base as possible.
Well, you said something key there, and that is, how do we get outside of our own echo chambers? And I know a really good way to do it, and that is to attend conferences and go to events and listen to different viewpoints and learn from folks that are approaching problems from a different standpoint than you may be. And that's our goal at Voice Summit. We are bringing voices from around the world. As I said, more than 25 countries people from more than 25 countries will be attending this year's summit. We have 300 speakers coming to share their knowledge, anything from deep dive multi-hour workshops to talks and panels, and many other sessions will be happening. I think we have more than 250 discrete sessions over the 4 days. And if you want more information, you can go to voicesummit.ai. There will be speakers like Helen Todd. And Helen, I looked at your background and the work that you've done, and we're thrilled that you'll be joining us at Voice Summit and sharing your knowledge related to this exciting new era. So we look forward to seeing you July 23rd,
Right.
I think is your
Yeah.
talk time. And hope you'll be able to join us for more than one day.
Yeah, I'm really excited for all the sessions. So thank you for having me this morning, and can't wait to see everyone who makes it out to Newark.
Well, thanks for joining us. And again, for those that haven't registered yet, definitely check it out at voicesummit.ai. Now is the time to get into this market. We are at the very precipice of a completely new era. So if you think back on the eras that we've had, going back to laptop computers, then the internet, and then mobile, then social, the voice first era is a major shift, and it's not going to slow down. It's only going to speed up. Now's the time to get in. I'm Pete Erickson, founder of Modev. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next interview. Cheers.